The Night Visitor. This story is about my friend Mark, who bought an old house in a quiet countryside village. The house was ancient, adorned with intricate carvings on its walls, and had been abandoned for decades. Mark loved the solitude, and though the locals warned him about the house, telling tales of strange noises and disappearances, he brushed them off as mere superstitions. For the first few days, everything seemed fine. Mark spent his time renovating the house, but at night, things began to change. It started with faint creaking noises, as if someone were pacing in the basement. He ignored them at first, blaming it on the age of the house. But each night, the sounds grew louder and more distinct, almost deliberate. One evening, determined to uncover the source, Mark grabbed a flashlight and cautiously descended into the dark, damp basement. The air was thick with a metallic smell, and the walls were covered in cobwebs. In one corner, he found an old, dusty chest. Inside was a photo album, its pages filled with images of a family, a man, a woman, and a young child. But as Mark flipped through the album, the photographs became increasingly disturbing. The family members were shown lifeless in different locations around the house. Just as he reached the last page, the flashlight flickered and went out. In the pitch-black darkness, he heard a whisper, "Leave this place before it's too late." Terrified, Mark stumbled back up the stairs and bolted the basement door. But from that night on, the house changed. At 3 a.m. every night, he would wake to the feeling of someone standing at the foot of his bed. Doors would creak open and slam shut, and faint whispers echoed his name. A week later, Mark decided to sell the house and leave for good. But as he packed, the disturbances became violent. On his last night, as he tried to sleep, he felt an icy hand grip his ankle. A voice bellowed, "You cannot escape." After the terrifying events in the basement, Mark tried to leave the house several times. But every attempt was thwarted by some inexplicable force. His car keys would vanish, the doors would lock on their own, and thick fog would engulf the property, making it impossible to find a way out. One night, determined to escape, Mark got into his car and drove. But no matter which direction he turned, the road always led back to the house. The house seemed to call him back, its shadowy silhouette looming in the distance. Defeated, he returned to the house. But something had changed. The inside of the house felt suffocating, and the walls seemed to close in around him. The basement stairs were now replaced with a gaping black pit, from which muffled screams and whispers echoed. Mark felt an overwhelming compulsion to approach the pit. His body moved against his will as if being controlled by unseen hands. As he neared the edge, shadowy figures began to emerge from the darkness. They reached out for him, their faces disfigured and their bodies twisted. He tried to fight back, but the shadows grabbed him and dragged him into the void. As he fell into the abyss, Mark's mind was filled with the images from the photo album. The family he had seen earlier now surrounded him, their lifeless eyes staring. Their voices hissed in unison, "You belong to us now." The house didn't remain empty for long. When the next owner moved in, they reported seeing a dark figure in the windows and hearing whispers at night. Those brave enough to venture into the basement discovered Mark's photograph, smeared with blood, alongside a chilling message, "I couldn't leave. If you've moved into this house too, there's no way back for you either, your death is certain."